Hey y'all, I want to talk to you today about my patient who returned to her Orange Theory workouts after having her first baby very seamlessly and easily without coming across any pain or symptoms as she worked back into those workouts and how she did it. My name is Dr. Amanda. I'm a doctor of physical therapy and a pelvic floor physical therapist. My focus is on all things pregnancy and postpartum rehab, and in my physical therapy practice in Arvada, Colorado, I've helped hundreds of women rehab back to the exercises and workouts that they love postpartum, free of pain and free of those common pelvic floor symptoms. So let me tell you a little bit about my patient, Ashley. Ashley came to see me when she was only 4 weeks postpartum. She started in pelvic floor PT because she had already gone back to starting to do some walking in this early postpartum period. And even with just that walking around her neighborhood, she was already having some pretty severe low back pain and also already having some incontinence or bladder leaks that she really did not want to stick around. Ashley had really big goals of returning to a lot of activities that she was doing pre-labor and delivery, and most of these she had even been able to continue through pregnancy without any problems. What that looked like for her were Orange Theory workouts, which was her activity that she did with her husband, so she really didn't want to have to give those up. Family hikes. So one of the things she shared with me is that the whole time she was pregnant, she just kept thinking about how excited she was to not just go on hikes with her husband anymore, but to be able to go on family hikes with her daughter where she was baby wearing, and she just wanted to make sure that she built up enough strength in her body to be able to do those hikes unlimited while wearing her baby, so that that wasn't a limitation for her and her family. She also wanted to get back to going on jogs several times a week and even playing an adult soccer league. And so we had a lot of things that we needed to address to make sure that she could safely go back to those activities postpartum without having to worry about anything. By the end of Ashley's physical therapy journey, I was able to give her the green light to slowly work back into her Orange Theory workouts, which she started off pretty slow. The beauty was that we had taught her how to monitor her own body, so she knew if she was using her core well, her pelvic floor well, if she was using the right muscle recruitment and the right patterns. And then when she caught herself not doing it, she knew what to modify. But she slowly worked into those Orange Theory workouts. The last time I talked to Ashley, she was really pushing herself in Orange Theory, not having to hold back at all, having no pain, no symptoms. And she was even in some instances lifting heavier weights in those workouts than she was pre-pregnancy, because now she really knew how to keep her body safe. She also has already gone on several family hikes with her husband while baby wearing. So she was excited to get some shorter hikes in before the weather turned here in Colorado and it got snowy in the mountains. And so I was really happy that we got to get her that goal before the season changed and she just wouldn't be able to go hiking anymore. She is slowly working up her mileage and her distance on her runs, but she's still getting in several runs a week. And even though her soccer league hasn't started back yet, she did share with me that she really had no hesitation, that she felt like there was going to be no problem jumping back into soccer games whenever the time came, that she wasn't nervous about hurting herself or having any pelvic floor symptoms or anything like that. So that is super exciting. And I want to tell you what we did kind of step by step to get Ashley to that point, because it was more than just waiting for her body to heal and then slowly going back to those activities. We did some pretty specific retraining with Ashley that I want to share with you. Where we started with Ashley, which is where I start with most of my postpartum patients, is looking at what pregnancy habits or patterns are still left over now that you're postpartum. And what that can look like for people is that pregnancy posture that we all can visualize all too well, breathing patterns that might change during pregnancy, rib cage patterns that might change during pregnancy, hip hinging, muscle recruitment patterns as a whole. How are we using our core? How are we using our glutes and our hip muscles? So we really look at all of that, and we start right away with correcting those patterns and making sure we retrain them for more efficient and stronger patterns. If you want to learn more about that, I actually just launched a free webinar talking a lot about a lot of these things, and it's 3 things that you can start doing right away to feel stronger in your core and your pelvic floor. And it actually touches on that and gives you real actionable full steps. If you are interested in that, then that link is going to be in the description below. But then what we took Ashley through after that was really making sure that we had a great core and pelvic floor recruitment pattern. So we wanted to make sure that when Ashley's brain said, oh, she's about to need support because she's about to lift something heavy or cough or sneeze or take off jogging or whatever that is, we wanted her body to jump to the correct core engagement pattern, and not a compensation one, which is one that so many women fall into, especially postpartum, because those core muscles that we're talking about that we want to make sure we utilize really well, those core muscles get stretched out, they get thin during pregnancy, and most of us stop accessing them during pregnancy. And then if we don't step in and really specifically make sure that we get back to using those muscles well postpartum, then sometimes it just doesn't happen. So we spent a really good amount of time with some corrective exercises, making sure we retrain that great pelvic floor lengthening and shortening and strength back into Ashley's system. We made sure her core was coming along with that pelvic floor the way that we want for true stability and true support in her activities. And then we overloaded her system. So we took her through whole body strengthening, progressive overload, slowly adding more and more overload to the system, harder and harder exercises, and all the while making sure that she kept those same great patterns. So we were worried about, are you breathing correctly during those? Are you hip hinging correctly? Are you stabilizing and using your core and your pressure management system correctly while we do these whole body strength exercises and build resiliency back into her system? So it was at that point, once we knew that we had a good amount of resiliency built back into the system, that I was able to give her the green light to go try some Orange Theory workouts. We made sure, like I said, that she knew how to assess her own body, make sure she was doing things correctly, make sure she was using good patterns and not compensating by doing an exercise that she wasn't ready for or lifting a weight that she wasn't ready for. And she did that really, really well as she worked back into Orange Theory until she came and said, I didn't have to modify this workout at all. I just was able to do the full workout that was programmed in Orange Theory with no problems. And it was really hard, but I was able to do it correctly with the right patterns and the right stabilization the whole time. And then that's when we got to give her the green light of like, okay, go try stuff, lift some heavy weights. Let's get some longer runs in. Let's really work on you getting back to the activities that you love. And that is one of the most fun parts of what I do as a physical therapist. So like I said, Ashley is now back to, in less than a year postpartum, she is back to unlimited Orange Theory workouts, which if you've heard me talk about it before, you know that I love group fitness. I love a HIIT style class. I love the camaraderie and the accountability and the motivation that comes from group fitness classes. We just have to be really careful with those postpartum because they tend to move really quickly. And so we have to make sure that we're ready to, in a quick manner, either feel confident to just slow it down no matter what the rest of the class is doing, which that's an important piece, but also that we feel confident that you can monitor your own body and monitor your own stabilization patterns and how you're managing pressure and how you're moving before you go back to those group fitness classes that tend to move really, really quickly. And so now that she's back into those classes and she's able to do things completely unlimited where she doesn't have to modify, she doesn't have to slow things down, it's because we built those patterns so that they're automatic and she can trust that they're happening. And that's what gives her the ability to go back and do things, move heavy weight that quickly and jump on the treadmill and run for that part of Orange Theory and then hop on over to the weights and do whatever is programmed for that, because she's trusting that her system is doing these really good patterns that keep her safe and keep her feeling strong and keep her symptom free automatically in the background while she's doing her workout. And the same goes for running. The same goes for her getting to go back to that hike, to those hikes that we talked about. Especially with her baby wearing and having that front load, that can be something that really throws people off and causes a lot of back stuff or pelvic floor symptom stuff. So it's just really exciting that she was able to build the strength back into her system and reach all of those goals for herself. As a pelvic floor physical therapist, I love seeing people do it right like that from the beginning. I love seeing women take the time to build those foundations back in, to make them automatic again, to strengthen them so that that they have the resiliency so that then they can go back to their activities free of worry and with confidence that they're doing things well for their body, and that that workout is a good thing for them and not something that's going to injure them or going to bring on more pelvic floor symptoms over time. And can sometimes be really hard to talk people into taking those first steps, because you get postpartum, especially if you weren't able to work out during your pregnancy as much as you thought you were going to be able to. That's a lot of people's stories. They get to postpartum and they're like, finally, I can get back to my workouts. Finally, I can get back to moving my body in the way that makes me feel good. And they're so ready to jump right into that. But if we don't take the time, a lot of times, if we don't take the time to build those foundations and those patterns and that foundational strength first, that's where we see things go wrong for women postpartum. And now we have to backtrack and pull them back and rehab a bunch of stuff. Whereas it's actually much faster, much smoother if we just take the right steps in the very beginning and work back into things the right way. So like I said, I just launched a free webinar. It's a free core and pelvic floor class. It touches on a lot of these automatic foundational patterns that can automatically help you to feel stronger in your core and your pelvic floor. My promise to you with that webinar is that it is real actionable steps that you can start taking right away to feel more supported from your core and your pelvic floor. And it also gives you things to work on and to pay attention to on your own body while you're living your day-to-day life, while you're doing your workouts or your exercises, whatever that might look like for you, to make sure that you're setting your body up well with correct patterns to get that true support that we need from our. So if that is something that you would like to learn a lot more about, it's the very beginning of the same program and process that I took Ashley through in the very beginning of PT. So if you're interested in learning more about that for yourself, again, that link is going to be available for you in the description, and I hope you'll check it out and take that first step for your core and your pelvic floor health. I hope Ashley's story was helpful for you, and I will see you guys next week.